All right. Tonight's movie, ladies and gentlemen, has the following tagline: Unmask the truth. What do you think about that, bro?
I mean, great. Or it could be just vengeance. Just tagline. Just vengeance.
It could be vengeance. All right, ladies and gentlemen, hold on to your seat because Movie Byte podcast starts now. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a new exciting episode of Movie Byte podcast. I am your host, Ruben, and with me, the last movie critic. How you doing today, bro?
I'm good. I'm super excited to talk about this one. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm actually very excited to talk about this film today. This was picked from one of our viewers who voted that we should talk about The Batman from 2022, as you can see in the marquee. Starring Mr. Robert Pattinson as the Dark Knight himself. A little bit about this movie. It is directed by Matt Reeves, who is famously known for Cloverfield, Dawn, and War of Planet of the Apes. And then he's also directing Batman Part 2, which premieres, will release in 2026 October. It is written by Peter Craig, who wrote The Town with Ben Affleck, Hunger Games, Mockingjay Part 1 and Part 2, Top Gun Maverick, and also Matt Reeves receives a writing credit as part of the story was mostly influenced and written to him, since it's an original story. It's not an adaptation from any comic book, even though there are multiple comic book influences in real life influences in the story for this film. Like I mentioned, it stars Robert Pattinson and the What's up, Pablo? What's up, Adrian? Robert Pattinson stars as Bruce Wayne / Batman with Zoë Kravitz as Catwoman or Selina Kyle. Paul Dano as the villain, the Riddler. Mr. Jeffrey Wright as Commissioner Gordon, which in this film, he's still not a commissioner, but he's a lieutenant, if I'm not mistaken. Mr. John Turturro as Falcone, among other Peter Sarsgaard, Andy Serkis as Alfred, and the great Colin Farrell in an unrecognizable prosthetic and makeup playing Oswald Cobblepot, also known the Penguin in this film. Cinematography was shot by Mr. Greg Fraser, who we already talked before in previous episodes. So yes, he shot Dune Part 1 and Part 2 and Prometheus. And that's a little bit. So before we dive into breaking down this movie, we got to know the development. How did we end up getting the Batman that we ended up seeing now in theaters, now on Max, that it's streaming for those who have not seen it? And we were very close on having Ben Affleck play the main character in this film, as Ben Affleck was originally attached to direct, and this would have been a direct sequel to Zack Snyder's Batman vs. Superman. Affleck wrote a script that involved Batman in Arkham Asylum fighting a riot, because it's kind of a setup by Deathstroke. And if you've seen Justice League by Joss Whedon, there was a little setup at the end of Deathstroke coming out and planning to pretty much expose Batman, thanks to Lex Luthor. So how did we get from Ben Affleck being Batman and almost directing this film and having a complete different story than what we ended up getting? Affleck pretty much had reservations about directing. He felt that it was too much of a job to play the main character and direct such a big film, that he actually stepped down to just focus on as the character. Pretty much years went by. Batman vs. Superman was not the expected hit that everybody wanted it to be. It created famous memes and quotes, and we get the famous line that ruins the entire movie for everybody, that we all know as Martha, right? So Affleck, at that point, the studio is looking at different options. Affleck decides to, you know what, I don't want to be involved overall as a movie. He kind of wants to step down as the Batman character. He reprises that character at least 2 more times in cameo roles. The latest one was The Flash, which ends up being a disappointment. That kills off Zack Snyder's universe. James Gunn takes over DC. He has a whole new timeline to explain. And then Matt Reeves is hired to direct the Batman. At the beginning, the Batman had Affleck's script, and the studio really wanted Matt Reeves to do that script. It's like, hey, we got a script. This is what we want. We want this to be released, in 2019, 2020. Matt Reeves like, I like the script, but it's not what I want to do. I'm turning it down. So he declined the offer once. The studio could not get any other directors. Among names that they had was Ridley Scott, Gavin O'Connor, George Miller from the Mad Max saga. Mr. Denis Villeneuve was actually considered as well to direct the Batman. And Fede Alvarez, who we just talked about in the previous episode, who has directed the latest Alien Romulus movie that comes out this summer. So Matt Reeves was offered again with the condition that he would write an original story. And the studio said, okay, what do you have? Matt Reeves pitched an idea that this should be a young Batman still struggling to accept to terms that he is a vigilante, and it should be a detective story. Hence, we get what we eventually got now. We have Batman pursuing a serial killer that is killing off corrupt politicians, cops. He's still struggling with the fact that he has to be Bruce Wayne. He still has not let go of the death of his parents. He's pretty much an emotional case as his alter ego and as Batman. So he takes it out on the streets and beats up bad guys. And Warner Brothers set a release date for 2021. So what happens before 2021? We get COVID. COVID shuts down everything. Production on the Batman freezes until later into 2021. And at that point, the studio pushes the release date to 2022, which it was then at that point released on March 6th of 2022. So, brother, you and I went to see this movie when it got released in March 22.
I think it was just us. Was there?
It was
movie theater?
It was,
yeah. Paul came with us, but
Paul came, and Paul is one of our close friends, so he came to watch the movie as well. But I think the theater was almost empty. But
it was empty.
So, I walked out loving the movie. You had your reservations when you first saw it in theaters.
Yeah, like I felt like it was way too long for the first going for it's what runtime is like 2 hours and
it's 3 hours. It's 2 hours and 57 minutes. It is the longest Batman to date.
It's 3 hour movie, and as you just mentioned, it's a detective story. So it moves slower than your normally paced superhero movie. And I don't know, for me, again, at the time I already was introduced to the pleasures of having the OLED screen in my house. So and the movie is so dark, it was very hard to see the immaculate details that Matt Reeves put in the production. The city, it had like that scene was unrecognizable on a big screen. The chase scene sounded great, but it looked very iffy at first, which became one of my best scene. It's by far one of my favorite chase scenes.
Yeah.
It can maybe be compared, in my personal opinion, the Matrix chase scene, the highway scene.
Okay,
like that's also like super intense, engaged, but like this is out there, like that. Yeah, and a lot of stuff on a rewatch. That's what I was like, wow, this is a craftsmanship. This is the artistic attention, like so many attentions to detail were paid in here. Starting from the Batman's mask, which is like you can see it has like little like
stitched and everything.
It's like it's beat up. It's like it's worn. It felt like everything you see in that movie is being thoughtful. When he lights up at the end, and I mean, spoilers, I guess. It's been 2 years.
I mean, we're gonna have spoilers. So anybody who has not watched the movie, we're sorry. You need to see it. hopefully this motivates you to watch it.
And another thing I want to say, if anybody watches just to hate watch us, there's gonna be very limited of me just dragging this movie through the mud. I tried. I honestly
about that. Did you actually stay quiet when you watched this one? So you get your questions answered.
So here's I'm just gonna show to the people who's watching us, because I do notes, and usually so this is all I come up with for Batman. That's it. That's I just want to let's go for Prometheus. This is the notes for Prometheus. Okay, guys. Just to let you know that I tried. I did watch, and I was I need to find something that I completely dislike. There's few things I'm gonna point out which kind of but that's really pulling teeth. It was hard. But again, just to mention one more.
Quick, go for it.
When he pulls up that fire thingy, I don't know what it's called in English, but you can see when he pulls it, it's makes that noise, and a little hiss comes out, and the fire, it's very bright, and then it turns to red. I mean, it looks spectacular, and that's how I never seen that flare. So I never seen a flare go off in real life, but to me, that's how it's supposed to be. If I have to explain to somebody how would flare start off, I would be hey, did you watch that Batman movie? Well, at the end of that, Robert Pattinson. But again, it's all gonna be praised from here, guys.
Yeah.
So if you
for me, I loved the movie when I first saw it. Everybody that knows me knows that Batman is one of my favorite comic book characters.
No shit. Really?
Right. So obviously, I still have Tim Burton's Batman as one of my top favorites. It has a special place in my heart. It is the movie that introduced me to Batman, and it's so much spawned from that. But then I have to put the Batman in probably my second out of the whole movies that they've been made, and not knocking on Nolan's trilogy, because it is one of the best trilogies we have from this past era in cinema. And Dark Knight is right there, probably third place with the Batman. But it's just, we finally get something different with this Batman movie. We don't get the typical Batman, I'm fighting bad guys, I'm stopping the bad guy, I'm stopping the main villain. This is a detective movie. The pace, it is a long movie, but the pace works because it takes you into, you're solving this case along with the Batman. And it just takes you on there, and you don't get to the final part without skipping it, right? So let's focus really quick on the writing, because we only get to this great story because of the writing. So we mentioned that it was written by Peter Craig, right? Who has an amazing filmography. He did The Town with Ben Affleck, which is one of Ben Affleck's best movies to date. But Batman focuses again on early years, where this takes place in year 2 of Batman. So in this film, the Batman has only been a vigilante for 2 years. So he's clumsy, he's a rookie, he still doesn't know what he's doing. He's just going along with his natural ability to try and solve crime and protect Gotham, right? Reeves was a big fan, and he got an inspiration from the comic books, graphic novels, The Long Halloween, which is one of my personal favorites. You gave me as a gift the book, and I read that, and I love that story. The serial killer aspect is drawn from that comic book, the storyline about him hunting down a serial killer. If we look at a real life scenario, Matt Reeves used also influence of films like The French Connection, Seven, Taxi Driver, Zodiac. The Riddler is based on the Zodiac killer. It's grounded, and this is what makes this film great. It's a grounded film, the same way that Nolan did with the Dark Knight trilogy. This is a grounded film. And I love this fun fact about Reeves is that he wrote Bruce Wayne with Kurt Cobain on his mind, and Riddler, like I mentioned, as the Zodiac killer. And there's a famous, there's a quote that he said in Pyre magazine. It says, "When I write, I listen to music, and as I was writing the first act, I put on Nirvana's Something in the Way. That's when it came to me that rather than make Bruce Wayne the Playboy version we've seen before, there's another version who had gone through a great tragedy and became recluse. So I started making this connection to Gus Van Sant's Last Day, who made a non-official biography of Kurt Cobain. And he put Kurt Cobain, like, what if Kurt Cobain was in Gotham City and he was Batman? And that's what we get out of Robert Pattinson's character. And we can see that. We see the emotional weight that he still lives on with the death of his parents and the fact that he has to take over the mantle of the legacy that Wayne is, with the guidance of the great Alfred, who is played by the magnificent Andy Serkis, who we all know from playing Golem, and Caesar from the Planet of the Apes movie. Okay. It is amazing, period. So that is where we get to in terms of writing. This is what this movie drives us into our story. With that writing comes our cast.
So what is your first you said this is your if you have to rate Batman movies, this is your second favorite.
Yeah.
What's your first favorite? Is that
Tim Burton's Batman?
Tim Burton's Batman. Okay.
1989 Batman by Tim Burton. Not Batman Returns, but Jack Nicholson as the Joker, Michael Keaton.
And as let's be frank and rate the Batmans on us, you know.
Okay, yeah, let's do that.
Like let's just dive in. I know we're gonna be all over the place, but
it's okay.
It's our show. We do whatever we want, right?
Yeah, it's our podcast. We can do the fuck we want, right?
So what, like, are we starting from number one, or are we starting at the bottom? Like,
whatever you want, because I already thought about this, so I can give you the rating.
So I obviously I'm more on a Joker side. That's my favorite character, as you probably can see.
Yeah.
But like, to me, my favorite Batman is, I mean, to be fair, like, and I know you already shitted on Flash, but Keaton's Batman in Flash, not the Keaton's Batman in old
and Tim Burton's, yeah.
To me, that old guy who just, let's fucking do it, like, that's my Batman. And Robinson, that's my second favorite, and Affleck is my third, and then we go down the list, and like young Keaton, I would put him in my fourth. Again, it's just mine. Nobody.
I got you.
Don't get offended. And obviously,
no, I won't.
Val Kilmer and George Clooney. They just,
Jesus Christ.
They just sink in somewhere there.
So, are we rating actors that play Batman or the films?
No. Like, how you feel like who is the best Batman? Not how they play, but like who you would like. That's my Batman.
I feel that, in my opinion, the best Batman is Robert Pattinson.
Okay.
It gives me. I grew up, like I said, I grew up watching like Batman, and then I got into the comic books, and I just loved always seeing the detective side of Batman portrayed in comics. And like I mentioned, The Long Halloween is one of my favorite graphic novels from Batman, and I just love that I finally get to see a detective story from Batman. You know, all the other movies, he's just punching bad guys and stopping bad guys. Yes, way. You know, he's getting this, like Robert Pattinson does the same thing here, but he needs to uncover certain things for him to lead into that. And what I love about this movie is that while he's doing that, you get introduction of all these other characters that become important and relevant to the story. Hence, you know, Selena Kyle, played by the magnificent Zoë Kravitz.
We'll get to that.
That we will get into the casting in a few. But
you digressing. Let's go.
So number one, Robert Pattinson is my number one Batman. Okay, my worst Batman is fucking George Clooney. Okay, let's just say it. Okay.
What about in betweens? Do you have
in between? I would say I do enjoy Ben Affleck. So I will probably put second Ben Affleck as Batman. I like the grittiness. It reminds me of Frank Miller's The Batman.
Yeah.
Probably after that, I would put Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
Then Val Kilmer.
Yeah.
Adam West. We can't forget Adam West because
I never seen, but like again, I'm just looking at the Batman from the past. 25
I always say this, and I'm probably gonna get hate from the trolls there, and I don't care. There you go. So Christian Bale. I'm not a big fan of Christian Bale Batman.
I don't think he works.
He's a great Bruce Wayne. He's a great Bruce Wayne.
I'm a huge fan of Christian Bale. Like, the fighter, like he works in the fighter, the mechanist, like he's so fantastic in a lot of things. He just doesn't sell Batman to me. Like, I don't know why. I
agree with you.
Like, I love Nolan's version of it. But I think Nolan is just such a great director, and like the Dark Knight only works for me for two reasons. One, it was directed by Christopher Nolan, and Joker was played by Heath Ledger. It's if you put that same script in the hands of any different director, Josh Whedon, you give Whedon that script and you take away,
it's fucked up, yeah.
And you take away Heath Ledger as a Joker, you give it to anybody else, like you name it, Jake Gyllenhaal, like let's say he plays the Joker, like he's a great actor. That movie doesn't fucking work. Like
it doesn't. Yeah, I agree.
Like, I on the 20th rewatch, I'm watching it. I'm like, bro, just cut everything out. Just leave me with Heath Ledger's seats. Like,
I agree with it. And just to add to that, and then we'll go back to and because we can spend a whole episode just discussing Dark Knight trilogy.
Right.
I've always said this, and I stand by it. Yeah, the Dark Knight trilogy is not about Batman. It's about the villains.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, Bane was a great character on paper. Tom Hardy was a great villain on paper. It just didn't work for me. Like it, like, and the first one, like again, like it's a good trilogy, but if I have to compare it, it's mediocre for Nolan. Again, I know maybe I'll get some hate for this, but
it's okay. We're all for it.
One more thing,
we're all for it.
One more thing I wanted to add, because we had that question. Gotham as a city, again, yes, like, bro, Matt Reeves Gotham, I believe in it. Like, it feels real. It's a character of its own, and I could not see that on a big screen in a movie theater paying $15 for fucking ticket. I know it's maybe it will sound again cringe, but fuck, on an OLED, this movie looks so fucking good.
It does. It does.
Just the city itself, the vibe of it. The only other director or the other movie which to me came close to it was the Joker, obviously. The Gotham City, that retrospect, like that dirty 80s or whatever, 60s, whatever you feel like. I don't think they say. Do they say what year?
It's like it's like the 70s. It's like mid 70s. Yeah.
Like that again. The success of that film, one is music, Joaquin Phoenix, and the city, how it was portrayed. Like same thing here. Every little thing, every little attention to detail just makes this movie so much better. And villains here, like, I'm sorry, but Paul Dano was right. Like, I know it may sound wrong, but I was on his side the whole fucking movie. I'm still like the second watch, when I watched it for the second time, I was like, I know it's like he didn't do nothing wrong. I mean, it's
like fucking Thanos.
I mean, he wanted to clean the city.
I know.
The beauty of this movie is that when they face together, the Batman and our antagonist, they like, wait, we're on the same team. Like we were doing the same thing. He's like, I'm nothing like you. Yes, you are. And that he calls himself Vengeance for the entire movie. And then one of the bad guys or one of the goons, like who goes with Dano plan, is unmasked, and they ask him, "Who are you?" He's like, "I'm Vengeance."
I'm Vengeance. Yeah.
And it's just it's good. Like it's fucking movie good. Like I can't.
Let's talk about the characters real quick, and then we'll dive into like the plot and like what works in those. So obviously we have Bruce Wayne / Batman, who we've mentioned, Robert Pattinson. Before Robert Pattinson, Nicholas Hoult, Armie Hammer, and Aaron Taylor Johnson were considered for the role. In fact, Nicholas Hoult was pretty much the second, like the runner-up. Matt Reeves was afraid that Robert Pattinson wasn't going to be able to want to do the Batman after doing Tenet, because normally these type of actors have one blockbuster film in their blood, and then that's it for them. So he was afraid that Tenet was going to be it, and then they will have to replace him. But Robert Pattinson was such a fan of Batman growing up that he was like, no, I'm doing this. I want to do this. So Robert Pattinson was always the first choice, because as Reeves was writing the story, that's he had in mind Robert Pattinson after seeing the movie Good Time. That was the movie that Matt Reeves said, like, this is my Batman. Fun fact, Robert Pattinson had to audition in the Batman Forever bat suit, because that was the only suit available in the Warner Brothers Studios archives, because everything else was pretty much tossed and burned.
It still had the George Clooney smell to it.
It had like the bat nipples and everything. Yeah.
God,
his casting did cause a lot of backlash. The same way it's like a repeat, you know. Michael Keaton, when he was cast as Batman in 1989, nobody believed in him because he was a comedic actor. He was coming from like Mr. Mom, the Beetlejuice, and nobody is like, oh, he can't play Batman. And look, boom, fantastic Batman. Heath Ledger, you know, everybody was like backlash, like no, like Heath Ledger, he's not he can't play the Joker.
Dude, till this day, I don't believe he pulled it off. Like I can't fucking believe.
To this day, the best Joker we've ever had. God bless his soul up in heaven, or wherever he may be. That role literally killed him.
I mean,
and then Robert Pattinson got the same backlash because hence he was known for Twilight. He was known for playing Cedric.
No way, he was in Twilight.
He was in Twilight, bro.
Fuck me. Like,
and then
how did
I honestly, I'll admit to this. When I first heard that Robert Pattinson was cast as Batman, I was not a fan. I was like, what the fuck is going on? Why is he? Hence, I've only had seen the Twilight movies. That's all I knew about him. I didn't see anything else until I saw Tenet, which I saw it with you when it got a limited release in theaters.
Was two of us in the movie theater again?
It was just two of us in the movie theater.
We had to wear the masks.
We had to wear the mask. And I said, okay, hold on.
And we had to drive 50 miles.
Yeah, that's right. We went to South Carolina to see it. And I said, okay, hold on. Robert Pattinson is actually a great actor, you know? He didn't have a big role in Tenet, but he was essential for that movie. And after that, I was like, okay, I got to give him a shot. And then the rest is history.
He delivers.
He delivers.
People say he doesn't. I disagree. That's my personal opinion.
Paul Dano was cast as, obviously, the Riddler. Fun fact, in case you all didn't know, Jonah Hill was actually considered to play the villain in the movie. He already had an offer on the table. He exited the film because he did not know if he wanted to play the Penguin or the Riddler. And the studio was like, you got to make up your mind. He didn't. He backed out, and Paul Dano was called in. Paul Dano, as part of his research, he would read serial killer books in public just to feel uncomfortable and get into the mindset of a serial killer.
Dude, let's just be honest. Like, Paul Dano could be a fucking Zodiac.
He could be a fucking serial killer. And then obviously we have Zoë Kravitz playing Selina Kyle, who obviously in this movie, she's not called Catwoman, she's called Selina Kyle, but she hints as the cat burglar that we all know. Before her, famous actress, Aiza Gonzalez was considered, Ana de Armas was considered, Hannah Cronin was considered, Natalie Emmanuel was considered, Sassy Betts, who eventually did Domino and Deadpool 2 and the Joker, was considered, and Felicity Jones was also considered before the studio decided on Zoë Kravitz, just for the fact, one of the biggest fact is that she and Robert Pattinson were friends before they even ever started film. So they had a natural chemistry, and Matt Reeves wanted that in the film. And she is amazing. Like,
okay, so we need to give praise where the praise is due.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this girl is fantastic for this role. Okay, Halle Berry was my favorite Catwoman before.
Oh, you went there, bro? You really went there?
No, I'm as a Catwoman, like.
Are you being for real?
What do you mean for real? Yes. What? Who else? What?
You got Michelle Pfeiffer,
Michelle Pfeiffer. Okay.
Anne Hathaway.
Hathaway, sure. I mean.
So Halle Berry is your favorite Catwoman?
Until Zoe.
Until Zoe Kravitz.
I mean, yes, Halle Berry.
Okay, man. That's fine.
If we had a picture on the screen, you guys, you're not prepared. Like you would understand what I mean. Like Halle Berry, yes. In her prime, that's.
Hey, no judgment here. Okay, it's sure.
I'm just saying, but Zoe Kravitz and the way that they portray her, like in that mask with that little cat ears, like it's just perfect. Like attention to detail. Like she's not wearing those fucking leather.
Yeah.
Craziness like Hathaway had to wear in Nolan's Batman or Halle Berry, whatever. stitched latex suit was just cringe. But the character here has the role. It has the place. Like her first fight with Pattinson, she can't land a punch because he's like 2 feet taller, and obviously he's Batman. Nobody can fight Batman.
Yeah.
But she tries to use her environment, and he's like, "What are you doing, little girl? Like, sit your ass down." And then every time she has the fight, it's like really awkward, really fast. Like she tries to knock out guys or shoot them or do whatever just to kind of like. She knows her advantage is not that. Like she's just sneaky, burglar like again like a Catwoman, like how it's supposed to be. It's they sell it. It's believable, and she has such a great relationship with the environment that she plays in. Like she knows her place. Like if she needs to get close to these mobsters, she needs to be the waitress, right? If she needs to steal something, she needs to be this sneaky burglar. If she wants to manipulate Pattinson into going her, she gives him a kiss, right? Like, I still don't believe that their on-screen love is true. I think she's just using him to get what she wants. That's again my personal opinion. Maybe if somebody will see, oh, this is very romantic, but she sees the weakness in him, and he's like still developing, still new to the role, still new to this vigilante business. So she's like, okay, I need to get to the bottom. I need to get money. So I'm gonna, and everything she says to him, like just to kind of add to that pettiness level or whatever, is to push him off the limit, because she almost like killed a guy, and like she would have probably if Robert Pattinson wouldn't save, well, Batman wouldn't save him, like pushed him off, but she kind of maybe knew that he will save. But still, even though he's like, hey, stop, don't do this, she's like, fuck you, I do what I want. Like I got 9 lives.
No, I agree with you, and that's always how it's also been portrayed in comic books. Like it's never been a real love. It's always a, I get what I want from you love. Like I'm gonna use you because you're pretty much vulnerable, and I'm gonna use that to my advantage.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I don't read, as everybody knows, so I don't.
Yeah, but it's you're on point on that. All right. Obviously, and then before I forget, we got Colin Farrell as the Penguin, who
he killed.
Again, like look at that, look at that right there. Like who can tell that is Colin Farrell? You know, that's amazing makeup right there.
I've been on the Colin Farrell bandwagon since In Bruges. Like it's what 20, maybe like less than 20, but about 20 years. Like when he came out. Even the Bullseye, he was fantastic in the.
I love the Bullseye. I love him in Ben Affleck's Daredevil. That's one of my guilty pleasures. I love that movie.
So here, and no wonder he's getting his own spin-off, his own show. I don't know how many episodes. It's so good, and the lines he delivers. He has a best monologue or dialogue, whatever you want to call it. When they interrogate him, he's like a good cop and bad shit cup.
Yeah, we got it. Let's share that since we bring it up. Okay, so
if you want to just play that clip.
Yeah, we're gonna play right here. So this is a clip of the interrogation of the Batman and to the Penguin in the film. So here we go.
Who's the Riddler?
Riddler! How should I know?
Let's make it easy for you, Oz. Cops caught you doing something. They were gonna shut you down, put you away, so you gave up a bigger fish to save your ass.
You ratted out Salvatore Maroni. His drops operation.
But the cops, the city officials,
Look, it's the face, everything.
He just sells it so well.
They wanted to take
like somebody cornered him. Like I don't know what the fuck's going on.
Yeah, he's like, what are these two smoking?
You work for them too. What are you, crazy?
I killed a girl.
I didn't kill no girl. We know she worked for you.
That girl, like,
found out from Mitchell that you were the rat, so you killed her. But somehow Riddler found out too. He knows so much about you. You must know about him.
Who is he? Boy, you guys are a hell of a duet here. Why'd you start harmonizing? Okay? I ain't no rat. You got any idea what Carman Falcone would do to me? How you just gotta talk?
No, you don't want to talk about rats, huh?
Yeah, like,
they'll talk about what they did to my partner's face.
Oh, God, what are you showing me? Hey, come on! Open your eyes!
Like he's such a criminal who I'm sure he's seen a lot worse, but acting like, oh my god, what are you showing me? Like I'm a schoolgirl, I'm innocent. Like, don't. What are you talking about?
You are
Perfection.
You are hell rat that says that?
Why? You got something to tell us?
Yeah! It's like the worst Spanish I ever heard. It's la. La,
La rata la.
Riddler stupid or something? Jesus. Look at you two. World's greatest detectives. Am I the only one here knows the difference between L and law? Jesus. Go up to Espanol,
Do your
fellas.
favorite shithead. Shut up.
You got him.
Oh man, like it just feels like maybe they gave him improvisation. Like, you know what, roll with it, and he just comes up with all this stuff, and let's make it epic. I'm looking forward to the Penguin TV show on Max later this year because it's just gonna be epic to watch. So let's talk about the pace. You know, let's talk about the plot. Let's start with you. I mean, you only have a few notes of what didn't you like, so let's go ahead and start because I don't really have anything that I dislike about the film. I love everything about this film.
Go into the notes. So there, the main thing that I disliked, well, it's about like hour and 12 minutes in when he kind of gets knocked out after again, spoilers, the bomb goes off and he's like in the police office, in the police, like whatever, the precinct or
the precinct,
like, like he's in an interrogation room or in a cell, whatever. He wakes up and they try to take his mask off, and then they have like the chase scene. It's like so cartoonish, so out of place. Doesn't make any sense. And he runs up the
stairs
or flies up the stairs, and then he has this scared look of heights, and it's like, you fucking Batman. What do you mean scared? And then he pulls out the suit.
The flight suit. I mean, that's like, amazing.
No, it's
okay. You don't have not. Okay, gotcha. I gotcha.
I'm just saying, like him being scared of flights,
heights, yeah.
But then he has a suit, and then he opens the parachute right before the bridge and fucking almost kills himself. It just, it was silly. I'm just saying, like it's a silly thing. That should have been cut out of the movie. And another thing what I didn't like is the Riddler sense. He kills everybody in person methodically, like meticulous, like the serial killer of his caliber would do. But yet he sends, when he wants to knock out Bruce Wayne or kill him, he sends him a mail package with a C4 explosive. Like, wow, it's so out of character. Like, if you wanted to get him, I know that it wouldn't work for movie, but again, I think that's little miscalculations on their part. If you think about it, it's like that bad taste in my mouth. For Riddler would not do that. Riddler is so smart, so creative, and he would somehow, especially in his book, Bruce Wayne is responsible. Like, the son needs to pay for the sin of his father. And him just eliminating him by sending him a bomb, it just does not make any. It doesn't have flavor, because when they go into the Riddler's apartment, it's like filled with thousands of notes. It just, everything is tested. Like, there's a rats running around. Like, he's such a meticulous, again, perfectionist of his craft that when he was planning all of this, he fought a lot harder than just to send a bomb. And I guess the last one I have here is when Selena leaves the city, she only takes one cat. Like, what the fuck? What happened to the other cat? Like,
she only needs one. She doesn't want to be the cat lady.
No, but she was already the cat lady. You see in her apartment, there's like 100, and she's like, I love strays, and you're one of the strays, meow. You know, like.
She could carry.
I understand, but like, why? What happened to the rest? Did she just? I mean, might have drowned because there was a flood. But
I mean, they're strays. They're roaming in the Gotham.
Why she picked up this one? Like, there had to be some kind of inspiration. She's like,
maybe the stray reminds her of Batman, because in her eyes she sees Batman as a stray.
No, I know. But like, just that's it. That's all I have for the hate.
That's all you have. Those are your only bad notes.
That's all I have. I'm sorry to disappoint my crowd.
It's okay. We can't win them all. I mean, but again, that's why this is a great film. You know,
you have to pick the movie where it's something I can scrape on that.
I know, and then they given us some good movies, our viewers. So I know it's gonna be tough sometimes to.
I mean, you never know. You can pick the movie. I may hate it. You may pick the movie. I may love it. So it's always. You never know. It may be a masterpiece, but I'll find with my little fingers, I'll find the dirt on it. But overall, like I wanted to hate this. Like, I don't know why. Just like every episode we do it, and I'm like I'm turning into this villain. I'm like, I need to be the villain of this podcast. And so far it was great. The first how many 3 episodes we did, it was.
I mean, I mean, obviously you hated Doom Part 2. We've destroyed Prometheus last week.
I know.
You had some stuff to say about The Mummy, so I think this is probably the first one that we've done so far since we came back that you're like, okay, I only have a few things, but other than that, they're minor, and like the rest of the movie just makes up for it.
It works. The pacing, though, it's not for everybody. And on the first going, I was tired. It was too long.
Yeah,
and movie theaters is not my thing. You know it.
Yeah,
maybe we'll go see Deadpool 2. No promises, but maybe.
No, I get the pace, and I agree with you. Maybe for somebody in movie theater might not. And again, it's just very noir. Like it's like if you ever seen like Chinatown with Jack Nicholson and Faye Dunaway, it's a movie. It's a detective case. You know, The French Connection. You know, one of Gene Hackman's best films ever. But again, it's just I felt the pace just goes along, you know. I don't like things to be rushed, especially when you're involving a serial killer and you're solving puzzles and you got this other story, because this is not an origin film, you know. This is no shade whatsoever. Like, Batman is already Batman in this film. Like, we are already tired of seeing the origin story, and they gave us a year 2 Batman. It's like, hey, he's been Batman for at least a year now. He has enemies, he's got frenemies, he's got cops on his side, other cops that don't like him. The mob knows him, you know, because there's a scene in the movie where he goes to the Penguins club, and he's like, "Oh, you're looking for me." It's like, you and I are not that much different, you know, because he's already known in the streets as like, if you're doing something wrong, I'm gonna be there to stop you. But I feel the pace is perfect to drive the story, and the payout at the end and that third act is, I mean, the interrogation scene with the Riddler, like, that is just, you're like acting 101 for me, you know.
It tricked me the second time because he keeps saying, Paul Dano keeps saying Bruce Wayne, and from our perspective as a viewer and from the Batman perspective, he's talking about him like he figured out, and
who he was.
Like, wait, if you already know, why didn't you kill him? Like, why? And
you see that in Robert Pattinson's face, right? Like, he's like, "Oh fuck, I'm fucked." You know, he knows who I am.
Like, they look at the camera, like it's already on camera. He's like, "How am I gonna?" Like, it's the end for Batman. That's it, and so then it's revealed that he's not.
Since we're talking about it, again, spoiler alerts for those who have not seen it, but we're gonna play the scene that we're referring to with our little commentary at the end. But this is it right here. And this Paul Dano right there, you know, whoever's seen There Will Be Blood,
You and I both
that's right there, you know.
I'm looking at the real you right now. My mask allowed me to be myself completely.
And it's again about that who is the true is Bruce Wayne is the actual comic book hero, or is Batman what identity is actually true? What is alter ego? And the same thing here. Paul Dano is like, hey, when I was putting on that alter ego and that mask, the Riddler, like that's
the one thing. Now that I'm seeing the scene, is that big ass neck ring around his neck. Like, what's the purpose of that?
That's jewelry. That's prison jewelry. Don't worry about it.
Okay, all right. It's a little thrown off, but it's okay.
Maybe maybe it's like
and
a frisbee.
He's amazing in taking lives too. Was he on? Oh god, yeah. Oh shit, I bumped on that microphone. He was on Taking Lives with Angelina Jolie. He played he played the younger version of Ethan Hawke's character in flashback scenes.
Oh, he's pissed.
I got chills watching that scene the first time. Like, just the emotion.
So,
and then Robert Pattinson's face right there.
He's like, this dude is fucking crazy. I'm glad he's locked out.
He's crazier than me, you know? He's more fucked up than I am.
But when he rages at him and starts beating up the cage, like, you can see that this is not the Batman that we're used to seeing, that calm, strategic, always knows the answers, always knows how to behave.
It-
He's still like molding all this
Mhm.
in himself, and that's why I think it's so appealing. And it's like noir detective character
Yeah.
study. Look at society. Look at how one can manipulate the other same-minded people into doing crazy acts. Like, because when you look at the end scene, like all these guys who came out of there because they were called by the Riddler to action,
Yeah.
because they were following the same ideology, same cause. And in nowadays society, like, we cannot just not see the parallels. Like, people choose sides, and they willing to go a lengthy way for that cause.
And what I love about this scene, one, the Batman's cowl, right? Like, it just hides like the frame, like the emotions. So you're only seeing his mouth and his eyes. So he's got to speak. He's got to speak through his eyes, right? But what I love of that, when the emotion, like when he starts banging that wall, like you mentioned, and that when he starts singing like Ave Maria, which is throughout the film kind of like the Riddler's like theme.
Riddler's Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Soundtrack.
And then the music score just adds on to that tension in those particular scenes. It's amazing.
Everything is beautiful in this.
And then
cinematography, the acting, the characters, the music, like.
And I know one of our viewers, I think Adrian, mentioned like the Batman's theme song, and one, like, I knew I was gonna like this movie when we see Batman for the first time in the film, and this is it right here. This is the first shot we see of the Batman in the film.
But they do talk about him before, though. Like,
they do.
Like, this is what I'm doing. This is
and then
here.
Robert Pattinson has
Everywhere.
a voiceover. Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm lurking in the shadows, and every time the bat symbol is out there, like these fucking criminals.
Which I love also. I love the voiceover. It just adds on to that detective, like, noir.
And then in the little exposition, it just tells us, hey, this is what's happening. The signal's out there. Everybody knows. A year or two, get used to it. This is how I beat up criminals. They just show it here. What the realistic fights will look like.
But right there, like the theme song, Batman's theme song is playing in the background.
Do you have that feeling from The Matrix when they were walking in the building?
In the rain, yeah.
Yeah, like it's just...
That's just some great sound mixing. Just let me just say it, like the boots in the rain, yeah.
There's always that one brave guy who just goes and takes the punishment for everybody else.
I'm vengeance.
Aww.
I'm vengeance.
Aren't you?
There's nothing wrong with this movie. There isn't.
I couldn't find. I digged. If anybody knows what's wrong, please, if you drop it in the comments. This is the opposite. Whoever hates this, please just tell us why you hate this movie, and I'll gladly try to combat that comment.
One thing, I was looking. Like, I always like to look to see if there's anybody out there that finds more about like the story and the characters. And I found this very interesting article that pretty much explains that the Batman story and the character pretty much explores PTSD. And there's a quote from the article, and I have it here. It's from bloody-disgusting.com editorials. The article's named "The Batman Explores the Horror of Living with Post-Traumatic Stress Disorder," right? So the Batman also explores grief, trauma, and the horror of living with PTSD through Batman. Batman's initial antagonism towards Alfred and apathy towards Catwoman's situation stems from the death of his parents and his inability to communicate with people due to his fear of suffering more emotional pain. His obsession with solving the Riddler case is a method of coping with the trauma of losing his parents, while his obsession with being Batman is the result of channeling his rage into what Marcus Shorter of the Bloody Disgusting call a dogmatic dedication to his chosen crime-fighting craft. The film ends with Batman realizing that he must process his trauma to help improve Gotham. And that's what the narrative he has at the end of the third act, where he starts saying, like, I have to be better for the city of Gotham. I fell out on vengeance. And he starts, like, use that anger to do good in a way, right?
I don't know. You lost me at PTSD, but as long as you understand what they mean by that, I believe you.
You gotta do your homework, bro.
I told you I don't read, and especially like whatever that bloody mess you come up with. Where did you Google it? What kind of search engine do you use?
I use meanings of the Batman story, and that's what came up. You know, and it makes sense. You know,
still using Yahoo web search. I'm sure of it.
Keep in mind, like it's Kurt Cobain. We're seeing Kurt Cobain on the screen. You know, like we all know what happened to Kurt Cobain, unfortunately. So
okay, so my question to you is, now obviously we see at the end, our little serial killer made a new friend in the Arkham Asylum, and that friend is credited as an unseen prisoner.
Mm-hmm.
And we only look at this prisoner.
You see a glimpse in the film
through like this foggy lens. They use every tech not to show us any kind of close-ups or any kind of details about this character, but everybody can deduce that. Most of us can deduce that that guy right there.
Yeah.
So obviously we watched and probably most of you guys watched the deleted scenes where Batman goes to interrogate this unseen prisoner in Arkham Asylum to get more information about the serial killer, about the case he's working on, which is normal practice for the detective story, where they go and find information. I mean, the whole Silence of the Lambs was based on this idea where she would talk to this psycho serial killer to
get inside the mind of a killer. Yeah.
So here he has the conversation with this unseen prisoner.
And here is the deleted scene from the Batman where he speaks to the unconfirmed prisoner that we eventually deduce it's the Joker.
And the way that this new Joker is kind of introduced or explained is like, hey, he did something wrong. They don't tell us what, but he's in Arkham Asylum, so obviously he's not all there mentally and is dangerous to society. But through this clip, you can notice that there's a lot of deformation. Like they will put a little bit of sort of like focus on his arms, and they
like the trademarks that we all grew watching, of like the smile and the madness behind that, right?
But as the director himself explains, is that in this version of this unseen prisoner, he has a very bad biological condition, which makes him deformed from childhood. So he's been like this since the day he was born, where in a Batman, in Tim Burton's Batman, Joker fell into the tub of acid. In Keith Ledger's case, like he has different scenarios,
different origin stories,
how he got, but it's still, you can see it's cut, like that smile is cut and there's stitches. So in the latest Joker, it's just a kind of makeup, and he just paints himself that way, and there's nothing real crazy or scary about him. He just mentally does all the crazy stuff, and now this is the new look for the Joker. I don't know if it's gonna work. I don't know if it's not gonna work. I'm really frightened of this actor. His name is Barry Keoghan.
Barry Keoghan, for those who have seen Saltburn, that's who he is.
Please don't watch that movie. It's a self-entitled art porn. It's cringe. I watched it for you all. I took one for the team. Do not fucking watch.
I'm not interested, but he's done other stuff too.
He's in.
Was he in 1917?
No,
No,
I don't think so. But he was in in the Green Knight.
Yes.
Remember, he's the
Yeah.
fucking psycho. He's like,
Yes.
"Hey, do you have any money? And help me." And then he just goes 180 degrees and turns into like the villain. And he's also in the Banshees of Inisherin.
Oh, that's right. Which he got
most-
nominated for an Oscar.
The most tragic character there, but he's still creepy as fuck. Like
Maybe he's got a grudge against you too.
if who can pull this character out of the hat and be like, yeah, I think he can do it.
Really?
Now, what kind of story will be presented with that? That's a different
And-
story. But
And the reason Matt Reeves cut the scene is because he didn't want okay, we all know it's the Joker, right? But he's not called that in the movie. He didn't want him to take attention away from what the Riddler has already been establishing through the story. He didn't want to misdirect that attention. So that's why this scene ended up being cut from the theatrical version that we all end up seeing.
would you put it in, like, if you would have to go back now and restitch the movie again? Like, I mean, it's already 3 hours long. Another 5 minutes, would it matter?
I think it would, because at that point you're introducing a character mid-movie that you're kind of hoping is like, oh, I might see him again through at the end or something, right? So I think they did the right call. I think this was best, like, to hint it at the end, like we see what Riddler makes a friend when the third act is closing, and then leave it for part 2. Because, I mean, this is amazing what we're seeing, and it would have been fun to watch that, but it would have taken away from maybe the pace or the direction of where the movie was heading.
So yeah, just on that comment, yes, The Killing of the Sacred Deer with Colin Farrell.
That's
and,
right.
And Barry Keoghan, where he's like, "Hey, I got a thing for you to do. You need to decide which." Spoiler alert for the movie. Well, actually, I'm not gonna spoil it, but yes, he plays the character who makes our protagonist to make a very hard choice in life. So yes, he's been slowly graduating to Joker, and I mean, we don't know yet. It's not been confirmed if he's gonna be the villain of the next movie, but I'm assuming that's the route they're gonna take. What you think?
From what I've read, he will be in the movie, but they have, like you said, they have not confirmed. I believe that he will play a slight bigger part in part 2, but Batman will be facing somebody else as a villain. I can see the bigger payout of the Joker being the main villain in the part 3, because this is being envisioned as a trilogy. I mean, so I can see
Matt Reeves can make Batman movies forever. I have no beef with him.
He's amazing. He's a great director. I mean, like, Cloverfield, many people hate it, but I really enjoy that movie.
I enjoyed it, but I can't watch the shakiness ever.
Yeah.
That needs to go. Whoever designed it, created it, it was cool for the first couple of times, but bro, like, enough with the shaky camera.
And then I'm a big fan of the Planet of the Apes trilogy, and he directed the second part and the third part, Dawn and War of Planet of the Apes. Those were really good movies. So he's a great director.
So that scene was cut. Another scene was cut where we have a little bit closer relationship aspect with Selina and Oz, or Penguin, which is also being followed by Robert Pattinson's Batman watching Selina interact with him for like that contact lens.
Yeah.
And that scene was also flourishing what Penguin motivation is, how he is, what his weaknesses, what his aspirations will be. But I guess we're gonna get that in a TV show. But it's a two minute scene which got cut out. I would mind that being back there. I would agree with you that the future Joker scene or unseen prisoner was a little bit too much. I wouldn't mind it, to be honest. Like, if it's there, it's fine. It serves.
There it is. Yes. Hush would be a great villain for the Batman sequel.
I don't know who that is, and you'll explain it later, or you can. Explain
I mean, really quick. So Hush is it's Tommy Elliott's alter ego in the comic books. Tommy Elliot was Bruce Wayne's best friend, and Tommy Elliot pretty much becomes obsessed with Bruce Wayne to the point that he eventually has like plastic surgery to look like Bruce Wayne. And his alter ego is Hush because he pretty much commits crimes with bandages all covered up on his face. Only his eyes is exposed to hide his identity because he looks like Bruce Wayne. But it's kind of another like serial killer vibe that is obsessed stalker-ish type of like sociopath kind of thing. So I can definitely see Hush being a villain for part 2 because it will keep it grounded. A lot of other things I've seen in the webs like Clayface, which is kind of like a mutated like actor that has the ability to like transform into something else. I'm not a big fan of that approach because at that point you're taking away the reality of the movie and making it into a comic book movie. I mean, that's what we saw from Batman Forever and Batman and Robin when they did Riddler and Two-Face and Mr. Freeze and Poison Ivy. It just takes away the reality versus, Dark Knight trilogy, we have villains that are like, oh shit, this could possibly be somebody out there that decides to put makeup on his face and starts on a killing spree. So yeah.
This is more grounded, and I hope they stay that way and not go the Avengers route or something like that.
Yeah, I hope not.
But yeah, like only 2 scenes were cut. Everything else, again, like Matt Reeves made a movie. He was like, if this not gonna make any money, at least I'm gonna go in the history books as to make a movie I wanted to make, to pace it, to edit it, and
yeah.
I got nothing. No hate here.
No hate. It's a great film. If you have not seen the Batman, you can stream it on Max, or you can rent or buy on any digital platform. It's a great film. If you have not seen it, I know we spoil some stuff here, but still watch it. It's a acting, story, everything. Like, there's nothing wrong with this movie, in my opinion. Like,
and the best chase scene ever.
It is. The Batmobile scene is amazing.
From the moment that engine starts, it's 5 minutes and 30 seconds, and you just, the way it's filmed, the way it's shown, it
was good. It is. I mean, if you have not seen it, I hope you guys watching us or hearing us motivates you to hit play and watch it. Leave us comments if you do. We want to see.
Have we picked the next movie, or are we gonna get somebody?
No, I think last week when we were wrapping up, somebody threw The Wrestler, which I think we should definitely talk about. 2008 Darren Aronofsky's The Wrestler, which is kind of like
I can find anything bad to say about that movie for sure.
Seven Samurai with Akira Kurosawa is something that we can definitely do, but we need to be mentally prepared for that.
Plus, we need some garbage movie. Somebody throw an idea of the bad movie.
So let's do. I think The Wrestler. But if anybody has out there a movie that you guys consider bad and you want us to break it down,
or if you think it's good but you want us to double check it, just to put our hand on that.
Yeah,
on the
throw it out there right now before we wrap. And then Daredevil. It's not. I mean, not a bad one. That's not a bad one.
It's yeah.
Let's see what else we have before we wrap up.
Daredevil is too easy,
I mean, we just did. Yeah, I mean, come on. There's got to be something out there that you guys think. But I think next week we'll do The Wrestler. They're not Aronofsky's.
Let's do The Wrestler, and we should ask that question in the beginning of the show, and then during the show, people can just bombard us with their ideas. For
we can still see comments. So anybody that posts the comments after, we'll see it afterwards. So throw names out there, but we'll do Wrestler next week with Mickey Rourke and Aronofsky's very rare non-weird film. But I think
that was non-weird. You think Wrestler is non-weird?
I mean, Wrestler's not weird. I mean, we'll see. We'll see, and we'll talk about it next week.
All right,
okay.
Yes.
All right. All right. That's it. I think that's it. The Batman available to stream on Max, rent or buy any digital platform. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch. Check out our last episode on Prometheus. A big shout out to my buddy Pablo, who's in the behind the scenes putting all the artwork and all the images on there for us. I refuse to do Justice League because that is no. Good one though. Good one. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us, supporting us. This has been fun. I hope you guys watch The Batman and enjoy it. Next week, The Wrestler. Until then, have a all good night.